All right, folks, welcome back. Interesting chat with Larry Kudlow, and we're joined once again on our panel by Newsmax contributor John Fund. And Peter Morici joins us, noted economist and, of course, professor at the University of Maryland. And we welcome both of you, gentlemen.
Nice to be with you.
Good to talk to you again, Peter. All right, John, let's start with the Larry Kudlow advice to Republicans that they should seek a 3-year moratorium on everything Obamacare. Of course, the criticism to that, some might say, is that, Obama's really doing that himself right now, and it's not going to benefit Republicans if all of a sudden this issue goes off the table approaching the midterms and maybe even for the 2016 election.
Well, we have to remember that beyond the politics of this, which of course everyone in Washington focuses on, there are real people involved here, people with real stories, real children not getting the proper treatment, real networks of doctors that people are being shut out of. So there's chaos out there in a lot of areas. So it makes perfect sense, regardless of the politics, to try to delay this. And if Obamacare is going to survive, at least work out the kinks and somehow adjust things. And normally what happens when a law like this doesn't work is, of course, you go to Congress and you actually work with people, you compromise, and you change the law. Obama hasn't done that. As far as I know, he's never sat down with anyone in Congress. He's just issued these diktats, these fiats, these executive orders changing the law willy-nilly. So it makes sense to try to give people some confidence and certainty in the future, and a moratorium would do that because people would know, I don't have to deal with this right now. I can help wait till they work it out.
Yeah, Peter?
Well, you really can't have a moratorium because, some provisions have already gone into effect. And
the president could change that.
Wait a minute. You had your turn. Let me have mine, okay? A lot of provisions have already gone into effect. I'm not an advocate of Obamacare, by the way, but a lot of provisions have already gone into effect. A lot of lives have indeed been changed. A lot of people now have insurance through Obamacare and have quit jobs because they have insurance through Obamacare and have changed employment. In addition, we have those people that are indeed hurt, but they can't get their old insurance back. Those policies are gone, and the risk pools can't be recreated. What would end up happening is the provisions that Mr. Obama would like to have suspended until after the political process of this and start over. I don't think it's really possible to sit down with Congress to work this out, simply because the Congress wasn't involved, the Republicans were not involved in the writing of the bill. This was the first piece of comprehensive legislation of its kind, like Social Security or Medicare, that was written on a totally partisan basis, that the majority party didn't embrace what at the time was the minority party, and so that we got something that everybody could support. It's such an anathema to Republicans, as it should be, that I don't think the notion of sitting down in a vacuum without the process unfolding. My feeling is that what's really problematic here is that they have suspended the mandates for many businesses. They're not going to go into effect in time for the fall elections. And as a consequence, it's not going to impact the elections as much as it should.
And you know, John and Peter, everything that John said about the problems, and he rattled off a number of them, Harry Reid today said is total fabrication, all lies, you know, out of cloth, just total lies. And I guess that's going to be their mantra heading into, that's the best they could do heading into the elections, talking about the politics of it, John.
Well, what's the alternative? To acknowledge that there have been a lot of mistakes made. Look, I believe that there are ways to improve the law. And I think that any president, because he's supposed to represent the entire country and has taken an oath to uphold the Constitution, it's incumbent upon him to work to correct those. I recognize the political realities that the professor mentions, and obviously Republicans were frozen out of the process. But the president at least has to try. And as far as I know, he hasn't done that. And there are about 40 Democrats in the House of Representatives who have voted for changes in Obamacare, including delaying mandates and other things, and they're not being listened to either. So the president is increasingly isolated because members of his own party believe that this all-or-nothing approach, it's my way or the highway, isn't doing anyone any good, and certainly not Democrats politically.
Peter, final word on the health care. Go ahead.
Well, I think it is doing the Democrats what they need to do politically, and that is a lot of people have joined the takers group, and that is that people are now getting benefits. You know, a school teacher that makes $50,000 a year decides to retire at 55 because her husband's working because she's somehow or other got health insurance now. That basically increases his majority that carried him through the last election. And they assuage the guilt of these people about the fact that, say, cancer patients are dying, whatnot. They're saying it's all fabrication. It's just a big lie. It's like the Holocaust was a lie. It's just absolute nonsense, but it works. That's why they're doing it. I mean, let's face it, these guys have been winning elections with this kind of demagoguery, and that's what this is. Demagoguery, pure and simple, populist politics, right out of a Latin American playbook circa the 1930s.
All right, gentlemen, very interesting conversation. John Fund, Newsmax contributor, and Peter Morici, of course, economist and economics professor at the University of Maryland. Thank you very much to both of you.
Take care.
Okay, take care. See you soon. All right, folks, there you have it. Yeah, this is not something that's going to be settled certainly here at this table at this time. I wish we had had a little more time. I did want to ask both gentlemen about the tax reform proposal put forth by the outgoing Ways and Means Chairman Dave Camp, but that will be for another time. When we come back, we readdress the Arizona bill, the pending bill, which is on the desk of Jan Brewer. How many more times do I have to say it's on the desk of Jan Brewer? And we're going to talk with Wayne Besson. He is the founder and executive director of Truth Wins Out, and he is the head of that group, which is a LGBT group. And it's going to have a very interesting conversation with him, I'm sure, on his views on what the law means and what the governor should do, although we know what he's going to say. She should veto it, and I'm sure she will veto it because economic blackmail apparently works wonders. We're coming back right here on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax Television.